Manifestation is now easier than it ever has been in the history of mankind. Today, I want to share with you how you can get what you want easily, effortlessly, automatically, instantaneously through what we'll call mindless manifestation. This is the term coined by Richard Dotz, one of my favorite authors on the subject right now. And honestly, before you start thinking mindless manifestation, it must mean you're getting lazy or careless about what you want. That is not the case at all. In fact, it's helped me manifest many what we would call big things in a short time, like finding the perfect place to live here in Italy now that I married my wife here. The marriage, which could be an extremely complicated process between an American and an Italian citizen, as well as hitting an income goal that I've had for years. It suddenly manifested without changing really anything about myself other than my own state of being, entering this mindless manifestation state. I want you to be aware that when you do this, it's going to create a avalanche effect. It's going to help you manifest things that you didn't even know you needed, or things you may have asked for quite some time ago but never really showed up. And it's not a complicated process where you force affirmations that feel unnatural. You force yourself to visualize for hours and hours a day. No forcing yourself to feel positive when you really aren't feeling that way in the moment. We're going to, instead of use the mind as many people have in the past, as we've been taught to in order to manifest in the past, instead, we're going to go beyond it. So let's dive into what that means and how to do it. First, I want to explain why these older ways of looking at manifestation don't work the same as they used to. In the early days of manifestation, it made sense to do things like think from the end or use affirmations, visualization, the way we've often been taught. But these are very mind-based practices. In fact, nowadays, our minds are so overstimulated. We have social media, we have the news, we have very powerfully vibrational music. We have all sorts of things that are constantly flooding the mind. So in order to try and control the mind to do these practices the way we've been taught can feel almost like an impossible task. That's why I want to introduce to you what Richard Dott calls not mind, because it's about going beyond all of these mental practices, beyond the logic, the rationale, the reasoning, the tendency of the mind to turn manifestation into a very logical, linear process, so we can transcend all of that. We go beyond the limitations of what the mind can conceive of, so we experience non-linear manifestations. Things like transcending time, transcending all limitations. Because from this non-linear, stateless state beyond the mind, manifestation becomes instantaneous, automatic, and effortless. So what is not mind? In his book, Mindless Manifestation Protocols, Richard Dott says, "I represent the infinity of the universe with not mind. The labels that we place are not important. Every label is still a limitation. So instead of using labels like God, universe, or energy, he chooses the phrase not mind because it doesn't have all of the conditioning that we may have. A lot of people have even commented to me saying that I need to leave the word God out of my teachings because for them it just brings up trauma. So when you use the word not mind, this can be extremely helpful to avoid all of that programming that we have around these other terms and labels. But it really is just us trying to put a name to that infinite part of us, the infinite power and intelligence that exists within us, even though it is nameless. Not mind is the infinite existing beyond all words, limitations, thoughts, emotions. And when we allow ourselves to connect to that infinite power, that's when the real magic happens. Because that way you're no longer using the mind to make things happen. Instead, you're letting go and letting the infinite handle everything for you. In the past, I've referred to this process as letting go and letting God. But it's very important that we understand that not mind is not a tool. It's not something that you use. The distinction as described by Richard Dotz is this. We are not using not mind as a tool. Not mind is not a technique. It's a representation of a higher truth that already exists. You don't do not mind. You connect to it. You drop into it. It's a space beyond the noise, the mental chatter, all the mental activity, and from there you connect with the infinite, which is limitless and capable of all things, instead of trying to operate manifesting your reality from the little I or the ego or the rational reasoning mind. In this way, you drop all force and all effort and you align with infinity. So I want to quickly touch on one experience of how this worked out for me in my life, one of the easiest ways I've ever manifested something big. So after getting married, my wife and I were looking for an apartment here in Italy. It was proving very difficult because we wanted to live in the same town as her parents. It's a small town. There's not a lot available. In fact, even glancing just for fun before we were even ready, there was never anything available. There were no apartments like we were looking for. For some reason, this town is always in high demand. Now, if we were thinking with the mind, we could have become obsessed. We could have started panicking. We could have been checking every single day. But that's not how we chose to go about this. We know the infinite power within us, and so we chose to apply it like this. We set the intention and then connected it to not mind, the infinite, in order to watch it unfold instead of trying to force it or make it happen ourselves. I opened the Notes app on my phone and wrote down what I wanted one time. This was how I chose to set the intention. I wanted an apartment with at least 2 bedrooms, one for sleeping and one to function like an office. It had to be modern because I really enjoy a modern aesthetic, and it needed to have air conditioning because summer in Italy is like living in an oven 24/7. The apartment also needed to be accepting of my wife's dog, be no further than 5 or so minutes from her parents' place, and also I wanted a great price including utilities. After writing this down to set the intention, I connected to not mind using this phrase. I direct not mind to dissolve all thoughts, emotions, limiting beliefs, and blocks related to this pure intention. I also direct not mind to manifest this desire easily, effortlessly, automatically, and instantaneously. After that, I didn't do any searching. I didn't obsess, I didn't visualize or affirm. It's just that if I found myself thinking about the apartment or where we were going to live in any way, positive or negative, I would repeat that phrase, dissolving all blocks, all thoughts, all emotions, and also manifesting the desire easily, effortlessly, instantaneously, and automatically. 2 weeks later, my wife's grandmother told us that she had someone in her yoga class who had just updated a space that she was going to use for an Airbnb. But upon hearing that we needed somewhere to live, that we were looking in the area, she had the perfect setup and offered it to us instead. So after hearing this, we set up going to see the place, and it's absolutely wonderful. We're going to be moving in there right on time when we plan to. It's right in town, and not only did it meet every condition that I wrote down, but it's even more. It has 3 rooms. It's extremely spacious. It has a beautiful living room. Everything is modern and updated. And because this person is a friend of the family, we're paying half the price we would for something of this size and scale, including the utilities. So that just shows that there's no effort, there's no force. We didn't look, we weren't asking ourselves. Instead, the channel through which this wonderful blessing came was her grandmother, and we didn't have to ask her to do it. We didn't say, go ask everyone you know. No, no force, no effort, nothing. Just the infinite intelligence and power of not mind making the moves for us behind the scenes. So how do you connect with not mind? Well, it's not something that you want to understand. You don't want to turn it into a concept. It's more something that you want to intuitively sense is there. Dot says this: do not dwell on not mind at a mental or verbal level. You do not analyze what I mean by not mind or try to form a mental image. It's intuitive. It's the simplest knowing. It's just an awareness that there is something there instead of its absence. It works in a perfect stillness. It's like the space in between 2 thoughts. And so that's what you do. When you go about setting your intentions, maybe you make a decree like I did, releasing, dissolving all blocks, limitations, and also setting the intention for it to manifest easily, effortlessly, automatically, instantaneously, then you dwell in that stillness. Now, if you have something like a job where you need to do regular mental work or you need to solve a math problem, definitely use the mind as the tool that it is for that. But when it comes to actions of the infinite, when it comes to manifesting your desires, as impossible as they may seem, leave the mind out of it. It's only going to interfere. Whether you're having positive or negative thoughts or emotions, all of that is just using energy to clog the channels of your infinite good. If you clear it all out, if you stay in the stateless state of mindlessness, that is, not identifying with or engaging with the chatter of the mind, like we normally do all day long, thinking about the past, thinking about the future, getting worked up emotionally, you let all that go and abide in the stillness, experiencing that peace, being present in the here and now, then that channel is clear and your infinite good can flow to you in an avalanche, really. You'll find so many things coming together in ways that you couldn't possibly explain. In that stillness, in that seeming nothingness of not mind is everything. So one of the big things that comes about when the mind gets a grip on the manifestation process is it starts to tell us that we need to dive into and fix emotions. The mind loves work, so it creates emotional work. It says that you need to do inner child work. It says you need to do all this emotional work, writing things down, figuring out its opposite. And if that resonates with you, by all means, go for it. But this way, if you will let it, will let you dissolve all emotions, dissolve all negative thought patterns or all thought patterns in general in order to live the most still, easy, effortless life if you allow it. Dot says this: making a connection using not mind does not involve using the mind to rationalize negative feelings or explain them away. So often this is what we do, right? We get these negative feelings and we think we need to undo them. And so we go down a mental path or pattern trying to solve it within ourselves. But really, if we don't want to, as I've said in the past, we can let go, giving it to God, and in that way let the infinite solve it for us. So you can also give it to not mind. You can direct not mind to dissolve the emotional pattern, dissolve the thought pattern, dissolve the trauma. Anything you don't want in your mind or energetic space, you can connect it to not mind to dissolve it instantly. In this way, you don't need to heal your doubt or argue with your fear. There's no force, no effort, no work. Everything is already done because that's what you're meant to experience. You and God are not separate. You and not mind, the infinite, whatever you want to call this infinite power, are not separate. So why should you have to do all this work in order to have the wonderful experience you desire? You really don't have to unless that's what you're programmed to do, if that's what you think you have to do. But that's why I say that mindless manifestation is the future of manifestation, because it cuts out all of this mental belief in the need to do work or put in effort in any way. You give everything up so you can empty yourself. And in that way, you are filled up with everything wonderful that you could possibly imagine. So when you get a negative thought or a negative emotion or an experience of trauma re-enters the mind, then you connect not mind to it. You dissolve it. You don't engage with it. You don't suppress it. You direct not mind to dissolve it, and you let go of it completely so you can return to being present in the here and now. And from there, not mind takes care of it all. The infinite power and intelligence of not mind, God, source, universe, the higher self, knows exactly what to do with those thoughts and emotions, whereas the rational mind can only try its best to come up with something which often does not satisfy. So once you start manifesting in this easy, effortless way, just setting your intention, connecting not mind to dissolve all blocks, all limitation, and then to manifest it easily, effortlessly, instantaneously, and automatically, then you're going to find a wonderful avalanche effect coming through. Really, there is nothing stopping all your good from flowing into your life. You get answers before you even need to ask for them. You get surprises that feel tailor-made to you. You get wonderful solutions to problems that you couldn't have conceived of mentally, no matter how much you would have thought about it. And all this becomes possible because you're no longer in your own way. The mind is no longer the energetic interference between you and the infinite. The channel through which flows your infinite good is completely clear. You've stepped aside, and the infinite power and intelligence of not mind, God, source, universe, orchestrates the ideal experience effortlessly, because in truth, you are the way through which the infinite has life. Without you, this whole process of experience doesn't work. So of course, you are meant to be blessed. You are meant to have a wonderful time here on Earth or wherever you exist. It's not supposed to be limited. We only experience that when we keep operating from the limited mind instead of operating from the stateless state of not mind. So if your mind has been overwhelmed trying to do the right thing or stay high vibrational 24/7, let it all go. There's an easier way. You don't need the techniques that are complicated. You don't need to affirm 10,000 times. You can let go of control and drop into the stateless state of not mind. Drop all the thinking, the mental grip that you have on all the things that you want, and allow them to come to you the way it's meant to. This is true detachment, the way that you can manifest things easily, effortlessly, instantaneously. If that resonates with you, I have a detachment course. You don't need it, but it will definitely speed up the process of you getting into that stateless state, letting go of all the blocks that are holding you back from the most wonderful experience you're meant to have. You can snag it at the link in the pinned comment or the description. Next, if you want to learn how you don't need to believe to manifest, just let go, watch this video right here. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, thank you so much for watching. I love you all very much, and I will see you next time. Take care.